for his actions and pleading guilty.
There's proof that a criminal destroys his own family's life as well. Tonight, a Yale University lab technician says, I'm guilty. He murdered Yale grad student Annie Le while he tried to sexually assault her and then stuffed her body inside a wall. In exchange for his guilty plea, Raymond Clark III will get 44 years in prison. Is it enough? What Clark did to Annie Le was so bad, even her mother couldn't listen to the court testimony. His DNA found all over Annie and all over the crime scene, and she had a broken jaw and collarbone. Le was found 4 days after she disappeared from the lab. She was stuffed inside a wall on the day that she should have been walking down the aisle, marrying her fiancé. Straight out to Florida prosecutor Stacey Honowitz. Stacey, this story is so sad. The victim's family signed off on this plea deal. But here's what I worry about. We cover so many cases where people are sentenced to half a century and they get out in 10. Will a 44-year sentence really mean 44 years?
Well, look, different states have different timelines. Sometimes they give good time and gain time. I don't know how much time he has credit towards. But I would think that on charges as severe as this, that the 44 years, he will do very close to 44 years. I think a lot of people look at this crime and they wonder, why would the state offer a plea of 44 when he was looking somewhere in the neighborhood of 80? And the only thing that I can tell you, I don't like to Monday morning quarterback any prosecutor because I don't like people doing it to me after I've been involved in a high-profile case. I just know that everything was discussed with the family. A plea like this would never have been put in place unless the family was kept abreast and it really had their blessing, I hate to say it, but had their approval and their okay. I don't think that they wanted to go through a trial. I don't think they wanted to listen to the painful testimony. They weren't even present in the courtroom today when he pled. And that's really the only reason I can see, because there was, great evidence in this case, overwhelming DNA. And I think that's really where it was. I think they discussed it with the family, and this is the route that they wanted to go.
Now, the defendant's dad says the man who killed Annie Le is not the son that he knows. Listen.
I want you to know that Ray has expressed extreme remorse from the very beginning. I can't tell you how many times he sobbed uncontrollably, telling me how sorry he is, telling me how his heart is tortured by the reality that he caused the death of Annie.
That man also a victim. Defendants destroy their families' lives, but I understand under this guilty plea today, there's some weird law that allows him to maintain his innocence? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it's like a doctrine that they plead under called an Alford plea, and it happens lots of times in the courtroom. Bottom line is, what they're saying is, I'm not going to stand here and plead guilty. What I'm going to say is that the state does have enough evidence that if it went to trial, I could be convicted of the crime. It's almost a way for them to kind of tell themselves almost that they're not really guilty of what transpired. It really does translate into a guilty plea. It's just done by this Alford doctrine. That's what it's called.
You know, it's always something else with this criminal justice system. Guilty doesn't mean guilty. 44 years doesn't mean 44 years. It's an upside-down world where words really have no meaning. Stacey Honowitz, thank you so much. Eye-popping new